Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be checking out another frame here. This is another 5-inch frame from iFlight-RC. It's called the SX5 and it's a 210mm true X frame, so it's 210mm motor to motor. It's got these skinny arms. It's supposed to be an ultralight frame, so I'm going to compare this to like the Hyperlight floss and the chopsticks frame that I reviewed earlier. Pretty easy for this to come together. Actually not a whole lot of parts here. These arms here are replaceable and they come in obviously 4 pieces, but inside, which you can't see, is they're actually notched so that there's not going to be any rotation on the arms this way, in this direction. So those are locked in over here, and also on the other side. And there's a slot here for your battery strap. Now obviously it looks like that's going to be a potential weak spot, and we'll have to see. I mean, the bottom plates here are 2mm thick as well as the top plate. The arms are supposed to be 6mm thick, but they're actually only 5.5mm thick, so not sure what's up with that. And you can see here that there's all these countersunk screws here. So this bottom plate here has countersunk holes for the in the carbon, as well as the top plate. So we might, I don't know if that weakens the carbon at all. We'll have to see how it holds up in crashes. But it does make the bottom nice and flat for your battery, which is something that I like. And the other thing that I noticed is that these screws, they're all the same length here. They go through basically goes through all 3 of these pieces. The height of the screw isn't long enough, or it's not long enough, so basically only about 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters is poking through the top. And so I think that they should increase the length of that screw by 1 more millimeter, because it's a little bit too short. Because all you have here is just the screw that goes into the standoff and the screw that goes into this nut that's holding on the arm. The one that goes into this nylon standoff for the flight controller section really isn't structurally isn't really providing that much strength structurally. So there is a potential for these short screws to get stripped out, because the shorter they are, the less bite they have into this nut or the standoff, and in a crash it could give, and then basically the frame will just fall apart at that point. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the actual measurement of the arms, and it is advertised as a 6mm arm, but it's only 5.5 millimeters. And then the thickness, or the width of it, is about 7.2 millimeters. So it's a pretty skinny arm. It's going to cut through the air no problem. And if you check the motor-to-motor distance, it does come in at 210 millimeters. That's what's advertised. The front-to-back distance is about 147 millimeters. And it looks like the side-to-side is exactly the same, so it is a true X. And get a weight measurement of this. I think it's about 70-something. It comes in at 76.4 grams. So you compare this to the Hyperlight floss. I think this is going to be lighter. 69.2 grams, but this has 4mm arms, not 5.5 millimeters, and the arms are wider. And if we compare this to the chopsticks, this also has 5.5mm arms. This one's quite a bit heavier at 97.3 grams. So you can see here there's not a lot of space between the bottom and the top plate. It's only 22 millimeters, so you don't have a lot of room for putting your electronics in. I probably will suggest using something like this Racer Star F4S. It's an all-in-one board, 30A 4-in-1 EC plus F3 flight controller, current sensor. You get one board in here, and then you'll have enough space just for like a video transmitter and your receiver. And there's just really not a lot of space here, so you're gonna have to think ahead as to what you want to use. You're probably gonna, you're definitely gonna have to use a 4-in-1 ESC, because these arms are just too skinny for putting ECs on the arms, and you probably wouldn't want to do that. Just would defeat the whole purpose of getting a frame like this anyway. So yeah, I would suggest going with something like this Racer Star all-in-one, or something similar, where you can basically combine 2 boards into one, and then you'll have enough room for your video transmitter and receiver. Otherwise, you might have to end up putting something on top, or have to come up with some other crazy solution. I'm not sure where you would put your video transmitter and receiver at that point. With 2 boards in there, obviously that's going to be an issue. So a couple last comments about this frame. The carbon is 3K carbon. It's very, very stiff. These arms are skinny, but they're pretty thick, 5.5 millimeters. Did try to flex this in very, very little flex. I think that if anything's going to happen, it's not going to break on the arm here. It's going to, something's going to happen here where these screws are going to get stripped out, and then these 2 millimeter support plates will probably snap. That's what I'm thinking will happen in a hard crash. The carbon itself is cut very sharply. I mean, they're all very clean cuts all around, and there's no burrs or anything, or like little carbon fiber splinters coming off. There's a little bit here around the motor mount holes, but the edges are not chamfered, so they are sharp. So if you do rub the fingers against them, they will feel sharp to you. But the carbon itself is cut pretty cleanly, so no complaints about that. Okay, so that's going to do it for this frame review. Let me know if you guys want me to build this one out or the chopsticks. I didn't get much feedback on the chopsticks. I'm thinking maybe this one might be better because it's lighter. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.